The envelope didn't just land on the dinner table. It hit like a hammer. Clean, white, official looking. My name was typed in bold across the front, like it was some kind of eviction notice. My father slid it toward me with the same cold efficiency he used to sign contracts at work. I'm Madison. And that night, over reheated lasagna and cheap red wine, my parents decided it was time I learned about real life. Their words, not mine. $1,200 a month. That's what it would cost me to sleep in my old bedroom. The one with my childhood posters still peeling off the walls. My father read it off like he was reciting a grocery list. 800 base rent, 200 utilities, 200 household contribution. Due on the 1st. Late fees apply. I sat frozen, my fork midair, as my mother passed the steamed vegetables like this was any other Tuesday night. I stared down at the itemized invoice, unable to swallow anything but the lump in my throat. Bailey, my younger brother, didn't even look up from the couch. He was sprawled out, gaming headset on, chips spilling across his hoodie. He wasn't being charged a dime, not a penny. I opened my mouth. But Bailey, he's still figuring things out. My mom cut in, her voice sticky sweet. You have 2 jobs, honey. It's time you take on some adult responsibilities. Adult responsibilities. That phrase would come to haunt me. 2 jobs and barely a minute to breathe, and yet somehow I was the burden. I remember thinking, is this really happening? But I didn't argue, not out loud. I just nodded and excused myself from the table. But that night, something inside me shifted. And if they wanted to teach me about the real world, they were about to get a lesson of their own. The envelope didn't just land on the dinner table. It hit like a hammer. Clean, white, official looking. My name was typed in bold across the front, like it was some kind of eviction notice. My father slid it toward me with the same cold efficiency he used to sign contracts at work. I'm Madison. And that night, over reheated lasagna and cheap red wine, my parents decided it was time I learned about real life. Their words, not mine. $1,200 a month. That's what it would cost me to sleep in my old bedroom. The one with my childhood posters still peeling off the walls. My father read it off like he was reciting a grocery list. 800 base rent, 200 for utilities, another 200 for household contribution. Due on the 1st, late fees apply. I sat frozen, my fork midair, while my mother calmly passed the steamed vegetables, like this was just another Tuesday night. I stared down at the itemized invoice, unable to swallow anything but the lump in my throat. Bailey, my younger brother, didn't even look up from the couch. He was sprawled out, gaming headset on, chips spilling down his hoodie. He wasn't being charged a dime, not a penny. I opened my mouth, but Bailey, he's still figuring things out, my mom interrupted, her voice sugar-sweet. You have 2 jobs, honey. It's time you took on some adult responsibilities. Adult responsibilities. That phrase would haunt me. 2 jobs and barely a minute to breathe, and yet somehow I was the burden. I remember thinking, is this really happening? But I didn't argue. Not out loud. I just nodded and excused myself from the table. That night, something inside me shifted. And if they wanted to teach me about the real world, they were about to learn what I was capable of. I sat on the edge of my bed, still holding the invoice like it might suddenly explain itself. But the numbers just glared back at me. Final, cold, non-negotiable. I opened my laptop to check my bank balance, already bracing for disappointment. That's when I saw it. A notification from my credit card company. It wasn't mine. Some anime streaming service. $15.99. Then another charge. And another. Steam purchases. Monthly gaming subscriptions. A handful of online charges I didn't recognize. But all tied to an account under the name Bailey T. My little brother had been racking up charges on the same card I used to buy groceries for months. I wasn't just paying rent, I was paying for him too. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Don't forget to wash your dinner dishes. We all need to contribute. I walked to my window and looked down as Bailey's car rolled out of the driveway, probably heading off to another all-night gaming session while I figured out how to afford 3 jobs. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just stunned. Stunned that they saw this as normal. The next morning, I got to the bank early. Joseph was already at his desk, sorting papers. He looked up as I sat down, drained. You look like you've seen a ghost, he said, sliding a coffee my way. Worse, I said. An invoice. He smiled, then caught the hollowness in my laugh. My parents are charging me $1,200 a month, and while I break my back working doubles, my brother gets a free ride and uses my credit card to pay for games. Joseph's face changed. That's not okay, Madison. That's not teaching you anything. That's just wrong. I nodded slowly. He was right. And suddenly, I saw it all clearly. They didn't want to teach me responsibility. They wanted to benefit from it. And that was going to change. That evening, while they laughed in the living room like everything was fine, I opened a new email account and set up a secure folder. Then I opened a high-yield savings account at a different bank. One they wouldn't know about, one that was mine. I took a picture of the invoice and uploaded it, labeled the file, Exhibit A. This was no longer just rent. This was evidence. I was going to pay them every dollar, every late fee, every utility bump, but I was also going to track every single cent. Because someday, that spreadsheet was going to matter. I walked downstairs, calm, steady, and handed my father an envelope with $1,200 in cash. He didn't even look up from his newspaper. Good girl, he muttered. You're learning. Bailey wandered by with a bowl of cereal. Milk dripped over the sides. Hey, he said casually, can you spot me $20 for gas? I looked at him, really looked at him. No job, no contribution, just a headset, a controller, and 0 consequences. Sorry, I said. I'm on a tight budget these days. My mother's head shot up. Madison, she scolded. Don't be selfish. Family helps family. I felt something click, like steel hardening in my chest. I looked her in the eye and said, You're right. Family does help family. That night I lay in bed doing the math. 2 years. If I worked every shift, skipped every indulgence, and hoarded every dollar, I could escape. Maybe less, if I got lucky. Then my phone lit up again. Another Steam charge. $59.99. Bailey had bought a new game. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled in the dark. They wanted me to learn responsibility. Fine. I'd learn it so well. They'd never see what was coming. 6 months into my real-world education, I barely recognized my own life. Lunch breaks were for running errands. Weekends were for back-to-back shifts. Birthdays, parties, sleep. I gave them all up. Naomi's birthday came and went. I sent a text and worked a double. She understood. She always did. But my savings account was growing. Slowly, painfully, like water dripping from a leaky faucet. Still, it was growing. One night I walked through the door, exhausted, and found my father waiting with an envelope. "You're 2 days late," he said, like a judge passing sentence. "That'll be $12.50. I blinked. The first was a Sunday. Banks were closed. He tapped the corner of the invoice. "Doesn't matter. Late is late. That's how the real world works." I handed over the extra 50 without flinching. The lesson had been drilled into me months ago. Arguing changes nothing. But documenting? That was power. Later that night, I updated the spreadsheet. Every payment, every late fee, every petty demand, my quiet revenge ledger. And then I heard her. My mother's voice, soft, floating up from the kitchen. "Bailey, honey, don't stress about a job. Just focus on finding your passion. Madison's basically covering for you." I froze, like a child at the top of the stairs again. But this time, I listened not with fear, but with clarity. Bailey mumbled something. I didn't need to hear it. I already knew that tone. The same shrug he gave when I canceled my Netflix and he couldn't watch his show. The next morning, Joseph noticed the bags under my eyes. "You look like death warmed over," he said, sliding another protein bar across my desk. "Thanks," I said. That's exactly what I was going for. I tried to fix my blouse, smooth my hair, look human. "Amanda called out again," I added. I covered her shift. He leaned in, voice low. "You can't keep doing this. It's too much." "Just 2 more years," I whispered. "Maybe less." He didn't argue, he just nodded. Because he knew. I wasn't surviving anymore. I was preparing. That day dragged like wet cement. And just when I thought I might finally catch my breath, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. "Dinner at 6. Don't be late. We need to discuss the utility increase." I texted back that I had to work late. It wasn't even a lie anymore. I always had to work late. Her reply came fast. "Family dinner is important. Bailey made his special mac and cheese." Bailey's special mac and cheese? Boxed Kraft with 2 slices of American cheese melted in. They acted like he was Gordon Ramsay every time he turned on the stove. I got home around 8. Waiting for me on the kitchen table, another envelope. "Utilities went up $40, my father announced. "Your share is now $240. I glanced toward the living room. Bailey's 3-monitor setup lit the walls like a spaceship. His custom-built PC hummed like a jet engine. "Is that because—" "Don't start," my mother snapped. "Your brother needs that equipment. He's serious about his gaming career." I bit my tongue, sat down, ate the boxed pasta like it was gourmet. Later that night, I stared at the ceiling again, numbers swirling like a storm in my head. Rent, power, internet, subscriptions I never used because Bailey was always logged in. I checked my savings. $8,427.13. Not enough. Nowhere near enough. My phone lit up again. Naomi. "Miss you. Coffee?" I didn't reply, because coffee meant questions. And I wasn't ready for questions. Only numbers. Only strategy. Only the plan. The next morning, Joseph looked at me the moment I walked in. "You've got to see this," he said. He handed me his phone. A listing. 3-bedroom, foreclosure, way below market. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "Because I've watched you kill yourself for 6 months, he said. "Whatever you're saving for, this could be it. These deals don't last." I stared at the listing. My heart beat louder than my thoughts. "I'm not ready," I whispered. "Maybe not," he said. "But now you've got something to aim for." That evening, I came home to find a pizza box on the counter. My phone buzzed. Another charge. Bailey had ordered takeout. On my card. Again. I stood there, holding the greasy receipt like it was proof of everything. Bailey, I called. You need to stop using my cards. He didn't even look up. Mom said it was fine. It's not fine. I can't afford... What can't you afford? My mother snapped, appearing in the hallway. Madison, don't be dramatic. Your brother needs support. He's networking with other gamers. It's important. I walked upstairs in silence, opened my spreadsheet, and added another line. Pizza. $22.95. Then I pulled up the house listing Joseph had shown me and added it to my favorites. This morning, I thought it would take 2 years. But now I wasn't so sure. Because once you realize freedom is possible, waiting becomes unbearable. My world narrowed to one mission. Get out. Quietly. Completely. Without warning. I stopped answering Naomi's calls, put social media on ice, deleted old accounts. I became invisible, just another tired face clocking in and out. Joseph noticed. He always did. He started leaving protein bars on my desk without saying a word. A silent kindness I didn't know how to thank him for. One Tuesday, I was counting tips in the break room when he sat beside me. I picked up some extra shifts at the branch, he said casually. Want them? I looked up, skeptical. Why? Because you're running yourself into the ground, and if you're going to break yourself to get free, I'd rather help. That same night, Emma walked into the restaurant. Our old neighbor, my mother's friend, and a respected real estate agent. She asked for a booth, ate alone, left a big tip. Then she waited by the bar. Join me for a drink? She asked. You look like you need one. I hesitated, but home felt like poison, so I nodded. Just one. We sat under dim lights, martinis in hand. I haven't seen you at the neighborhood barbecues, she said. I've been working, I replied. She studied me. Your mother says you're learning financial responsibility. I nearly laughed into my glass. Is that what she's calling it? Says you're paying rent, building credit. Emma leaned forward, her tone shifting. Funny thing, though. I was helping them refinance their mortgage last week. She paused. They're 5 months behind. The glass slipped slightly in my hand. What? Emma stirred her drink slowly. 5 months behind, while collecting rent from you. That doesn't add up. The room tilted slightly. 5 months of payments. My payments? Where had it all gone? Emma set her glass down gently. I shouldn't have said anything. No, I said, my voice low. I'm glad you did. She reached into her bag and handed me a business card. There are ways to buy property quietly. LLCs, cash deals. You just have to be smart and very, very quiet. I nodded, fingers tightening around the card. That night, I didn't sleep, because now I had a key. Not just to a door, but to a way out they'd never see coming. Bailey was still up when I got home, glowing monitors lighting his face, headset on, laughing at something on screen. I walked right past him without a word. You're late, my father called from his study. That's another 50. I didn't respond. I went straight to my room and locked the door. My phone buzzed again. Naomi trying to reach me for the 3rd time that week. I let it ring until it stopped. Then I sat down and pulled out Emma's business card, Vanquish Properties. The name sounded sharp, final. I opened my laptop, started researching, forming an LLC, buying property anonymously, using P.O. boxes and cash offers, every article, every forum post, every legal guide. I wasn't just documenting now. I was building my escape, brick by brick. The next morning, I met Joseph in the break room. I must have looked haunted. "Madison?" he asked gently. "You okay?" I slid the business card across the table. "More than okay," I said quietly. "I've seen the truth." He looked down at the card, then up at me. "You know what this means?" I nodded. They were never teaching me anything. They were just using me, and I let them. That night, my mother knocked softly on my door. "Bailey's internet is acting up again," she said through the wood. "Can you take a look?" "I can't," I answered. "I'm working on something." "But Madison, family helps family." I stared at the screen. Emma's contact info blinked back at me. "Yes," I said to myself. Not to her. Yes, they do. Later that night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, calculating again. Not just savings, strategy, timelines, exit routes. Emma's card felt like it was burning a hole in my nightstand drawer. It wasn't just paper. It was a door, and I was finally ready to open it. 2 weeks later, I held a small silver key in my hand. It didn't unlock a house. Not yet. It opened a P.O. box, my new address, my new name, legally tied to Vanquish Properties, LLC. Emma had helped me set up every detail, quiet, legal, untraceable. That Friday morning, I met her at her office. The smell of printer ink and polished wood made everything feel official. "Vanquish Properties is now fully registered," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "Everything's in place." I picked up the pen, signed my name. No hesitation, no second thoughts. "You ready for the next step?" Emma asked, pulling up a familiar listing on her screen. The house Joseph had shown me. 3 bedrooms, still undervalued, still waiting. "The bank is motivated to sell," she said. "If you want it, we move now." I nodded. Let's move. Back at home, nothing had changed, except me. There was another envelope taped to my door, a plate of cold leftovers on the counter, a new gaming charge on my card. Bailey had ordered sushi this time, using my money, again. But I didn't argue. I didn't even flinch. I just updated the spreadsheet. Every day after work, I packed a box, labeled it, loaded it into my car. Little by little, I was disappearing, right under their noses. No one noticed the photos vanishing from my shelves. No one asked why my closet looked thinner. Joseph helped me on weekends. "You're really doing it," he said, carrying a box to his truck. "They gave me no choice," I said. "Actually, they gave me every choice. I'm just finally choosing something for me." That Sunday, dinner was awkward. My father slid another envelope across the table. "You're 2 days late," he said, again. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folded sheet of paper, my notice of intent to vacate. I slid it toward him, slowly, calmly, just like he'd done to me 6 months ago. Forks clinked against plates. Bailey looked up, eyes wide. "What is this?" my father barked. "Exactly what it looks like," I said. "I'm leaving." "You can't just walk out," my mother stammered. "Actually," I replied, standing, "I can." I paused at the doorway. "Oh, and Bailey? The internet shuts off tomorrow. You'll need your own account." My father stood furious. "If you walk out that door, don't expect to come back." I smiled, genuinely, for the first time in a long time. "I won't." That night, I moved the last of my boxes into Joseph's sister's guest room. Emma had already texted. Closing date confirmed, 1 week. It was real now. The house, the LC, my freedom in the storm I had quietly built. It was finally ready to hit. The next morning, my phone lit up with the first wave. Messages from my mother. "This is childish, Madison. What about family? Bailey needs internet for his career." Blocked. Then came my father. "We're disappointed in you. You abandoned your responsibilities. You're being cruel." Blocked. Then Bailey. "Where are you? Everything's down. You're ruining everything." Blocked. At the bank, Joseph watched me calmly delete each contact from my phone. "How does it feel?" he asked. I smiled, like breathing for the first time. 2 months passed. I kept my head down, saved more, and ignored the noise. My parents didn't stop, of course. They sent messages through friends, relatives. Even Naomi tried once. And then, finally, a text that made me pause. Naomi again. "Your mom says Bailey's accounts are frozen, that they're behind on utilities, that they don't know what to do." I didn't reply. Instead, I waited for the one message that mattered. Emma's. It came that evening. "The papers are ready. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., you officially own your new home." I looked around Joseph's sister's guest room. Boxes neatly stacked, waiting for the real move. My phone buzzed again. Another message from my parents. "Utilities are overdue. Where's the rent money? You can't just disappear." I opened my laptop, pulled up the spreadsheet. 2 years of transactions. Every rent payment, every utility hike, every credit card charge with Bailey's name on it. I attached the file to an email addressed to my father's work address. Set the subject line, "About those adult responsibilities," and scheduled it to send in 7 days. Then I turned off my phone and stared out the window. Somewhere across town, my family was unraveling, and tomorrow, I'd be holding the keys to a house they never saw coming. The sun was barely up when I stood in front of my new house. Keys in hand, no invoices, no guilt, no one tracking my every move, just space, light, silence. Emma stood beside me, smiling softly. "You did it," she said. I nodded, but the words didn't come right away. Then my phone buzzed. Naomi. "Your mom just called me crying. Says they came home and your room was empty. What's going on?" I showed Emma the message. "So," she said, folding her arms, "are you ready for the fallout?" I smiled. "I've been ready for 2 years." The messages started rolling in. Again. "Where are your things? Answer your phone. We need to talk about this like adults. The internet company says the account is closed." I muted the notifications and unpacked a single box. Joseph arrived later that afternoon with housewarming takeout. "Your dad came by the bank today," he said, setting down the food. "I told him you transferred to another branch." "How did he look?" "Shaken, like someone who just realized the golden goose flew away." My phone rang. Bailey's number. I let it go to voicemail. "You should hear what he said," Joseph chuckled, pulling out his own phone. He hit play. "Hey, sis. Look, I don't know what's going on, but the Wi-Fi's down, and Dad's being weird about money. Can you just come home so we can fix this?" I laughed, really laughed. Fix this? They want to fix this? Then the doorbell rang. I glanced through the peephole. Naomi, nervous, fidgeting, clutching her phone. "How did she find me?" I asked. "Small town," Emma replied with a shrug. "Want me to send her away?" I took a deep breath and opened the door. Naomi stepped inside and looked around, her eyes wide. "You bought a house?" she whispered. "How?" 2 years of saving every penny while they drained me dry, I said, leading her into the living room. I handed her a copy of the spreadsheet. She sank onto my new couch, speechless. I knew they were charging you rent, she murmured. But this is something else. You knew, my voice cracked. I tried, she said quickly. I texted. I warned your mom. She said I didn't understand your family dynamics. My phone buzzed again. A message from my dad. The mortgage company called. Where's the rent going if not to them? I looked at Naomi and Emma. They're finally starting to figure it out. Emma rested a hand on my shoulder. Want me to start the paperwork for phase 2? I nodded. Joseph raised an eyebrow. What's phase 2? Later, I said, just as another call from Bailey lit up my screen. Naomi stood up to leave. They won't stop, you know, she said. They're going to keep pushing until they get answers. I know, I replied, walking her to the door. But for the first time, I don't owe them any. After Naomi left, I sat alone in the quiet, sunlight filling the corners of my new space. No yelling from another room, no invoices on the table, no manipulation disguised as love, just peace. My phone buzzed, a new wave of messages. The power company needs updating. Bailey's account is overdrawn. We're your family. You can't just disappear. I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. Every transaction, every charge, every dollar they'd taken under the banner of responsibility. All of it documented, saved, filed. My phone rang again. This time I answered. My mother's voice came through sharp, brittle. Where are you? Safe, I replied. Come on, Madison, this isn't funny. Bailey needs to grow up, I said. And so do you and Dad. We're your parents. No, I said quietly. You're my landlords, and I've found better accommodations. I hung up. A minute later, Emma's email arrived. Papers are ready. The LLC is positioned to make the offer on their mortgage. You just need to sign. I smiled. They thought losing me as a tenant was bad. Wait until they realized who now owned the house they still lived in. My phone buzzed one more time. Bailey. This isn't fair. You're ruining everything. I looked around my living room, my furniture, my walls, my peace. No guilt, no leeches. No one siphoning my paycheck while telling me it's for my own good. No, Bailey, I whispered, setting the phone aside. I'm fixing everything. I opened Emma's email and clicked the document. Offer to acquire mortgage. Submit. It was done. Sometimes the best revenge isn't storming out. It's outgrowing them in silence. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is the one you never say out loud. Because when they finally learn what responsibility feels like, you'll be too far ahead to hear them beg.